Today I'm going to show you how to make a value strip with acrylic paint. So here I have my paper. On the back, I'm always going to put my first, last name, and teacher name. Flip it over to the front. I'm going to divide this paper in half with my pencil. Then with my 2 halves, I'm going to divide that in half. So this side I'm going to divide in half. This side I'm going to divide in half. And then I'm going to do it one more time with each of these 4 sections. So this first section over here, I'm going to divide in half. This section, divide in half. This section, divide in half. And this section in half. And I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts of my test strip, my value strip. So I'm going to take my paintbrush. I'm now ready to paint. My select color that I chose was green, since green is my favorite color. And then I've got my black and my white. So everybody are going to have their own color that they picked with black and white. Okay, so I'm going to start in the middle of my value strip with my color of choice. That's my neutral color in the middle. So I'm going to pick up some of my paint. Notice how little paint I have. I do not need a lot. And if I ever needed more, I could just raise my hand and ask for some more from the teacher. So I'm going to, in the middle here, start with just pure green. I'm doing long strokes because my brush strokes are visible with this paint. I'm being aware of my edges and my box. I want it to look nice. Trying to be neat and precise. Taking my time, filling in this box. Okay, so now I can decide if I want to start with my left or with this side, which I'm going to make this side tints, which are the light shades. So lighter shades of green going all the way to white over here. And then I can add black to this other side to add the shades, darker versions of green, all the way to black on this side. Okay, so I'm going to start with this side, the tints, the adding white. So now that I've got this green, I'm just going to add a touch of the white. Might even see what it looks like leaving what green I have on my paintbrush. Because I want this box to be slightly lighter than this middle green color, but not super light. Still want it to be pretty green. Okay, you can always go back in and add more green if you think it's too light. And being aware of my edges. I'm filling in my box neatly, slowly, taking my time. Going all the way up to my original middle neutral green. Okay. Now I'm going to keep that green in my brush. I'm going to add a little bit more white for this section. I want this to be similar green, but lighter. Remember, I want it to go all the way so that here it's pure white. Okay, going on to this next one, I want a lot of white, should be barely any green. I still haven't dipped into the green. I'm just leaving what green's on my brush. I can always add white on top if it ends up being too green. So I'm looking at this box. I think that's too green. It's too much of a difference going from pure white to that shade of green. So I'm going to add another layer of white on top while it's still wet. If paint is still wet, then you can mix other colors into it. Okay. So now I'm ready to go on to the other side. I've got my white, light green, a little darker, my neutral green, which is the pure green with no black or white added to it. Now I can start working on the other end of my value strip going to the dark. So we're doing a little darker green, and then pure black, no green at all. Okay, right now I've got a lot of white in my brush. I don't want that. So I'm going to wash out my brush by dipping my paintbrush into the water cup. I'm kind of dabbing it at the bottom of my cup lightly. I'm not doing this really hard, okay? You can see it clouding up the water as the paint's going away from the bristles. Okay, and then I don't want it soaking wet like this. I don't want it to drip all over the table or my project, so I'm going to gently wipe it off on the edge of my box here. And now I have a clean brush. I can even dab it onto my paper towel to get some of that excess water out of it. Now I'm ready to start with my shades, my darker greens in this case. So I'm going to pick up some green. I'm going to do the color mixing on my paper. I'm going to add just a tiny touch of black. Now, black is a very powerful paint color, okay? If you add too much black, your whole thing will just turn black. So make sure that you grab very little black. You can always add more black later. Okay, so these colors are pretty close to each other. I want this one to be a little darker. So I'm going to add a little bit more black. Just do a little bits at a time. You'll see that the paint dries pretty quickly. These colors in the middle here are already dry. Oop. See how dark this black can become. So there I picked up probably a little too much black. It's kind of turning my whole square a little too dark for me. So I'm going to add some green on top. Okay, now I want to move on to my next box, and I'm going to add a little bit more black than I did the last time. It's going to be close to pure black, but not quite pure black. So I'm going to do my layer of green first. And then add in my black. Now these look the same, so I'm going to add a little extra black to this one. And then here, I'm going to wipe out the green that's in my brush on my paper towel palette. and just pick up. I could even wash out if I've got a lot of green. Dab at the bottom of my water cup. Gently rub it off the edge. Dab the excess water onto a paper towel. And now I can just pick up with my clean brush, pure black for this last shade over here. Okay, and now I have my value scale going from light to dark. Using my one preferred color, I chose green in this instance, white, and black. This would now be ready for the drying rack to dry.